My wife declared, "I don't love you anymore. My ex wants me back." Yet she remained oblivious to the storm that was about to unfold. 15 years of marriage concluded amidst the delicate dance of salad and entree. Wesley adjusted his tie, his demeanor unwavering, while Clarissa nonchalantly glanced at her phone and declared, "I don't love you anymore. My former partner seeks to rekindle our relationship." The meticulously arranged anniversary dinner he had envisioned for weeks crumbled in an instant, the flickering candlelight illuminating his wedding band, while her finger lay devoid of any adornment. It had been taken away days prior. Wesley settled the bill with unwavering hands, even as his world crumbled around him. As he drove home in solitude, memories flooded back of the nursing school where he had been her steadfast supporter during those late-night study marathons, the clinic where he had grasped her hand tightly while her mother underwent treatments, and the bank where they had taken the significant step of opening their first joint account together. Their wedding photo lingered on the dashboard, a silent witness as Denver's lights streaked past, blurred by the tears he struggled to hold back. Unbeknownst to her, the most profound reaction could manifest not in a tempest of fury, but in a serene and resolute grace. Ethan Miller took a moment to step back and appreciate the built-in bookshelves he had dedicated 6 weekends to crafting in Clarissa's home office. His fingers glided along the bespoke crown molding, crafted with care to showcase her nursing certifications and accolades. Sawdust clung to his Denver Broncos t-shirt, a minor sacrifice for the joy he envisioned lighting up her face upon discovering the anniversary surprise. 15 years, he whispered, adjusting a photograph from their honeymoon in Aspen. The recollection of her laughter, as she endeavored to ski for the first time, enveloped him in warmth, even as the late September chill crept through the Craftsman windows. The device vibrated, signaling an impending task. Dinner reservations at Lorenzo's at 7, the very place where he had proposed, where they had celebrated her nursing school graduation, where they had raised their glasses in honor of her mother's remission. Wesley held a deep conviction that places were imbued with history, and that honoring that history was of utmost importance. From the desk, Clarissa's phone emitted a soft chime. Wesley shifted it to shield the screen from the encroaching sawdust, catching a fleeting glimpse of a notification from Dee before the display faded into darkness. A fleeting frown flitted across his face before he brushed it aside. "It is likely Denise from the hospital." Clarissa had been putting in extra shifts of late, coming home with a preoccupied demeanor that Wesley linked to the pressures of her job. Once he emerged from the shower, Wesley took his time to don the charcoal suit that Clarissa had so thoughtfully assisted him in choosing the previous Christmas. Despite the passage of time, 15 years warrant significant recognition. He slipped the small velvet box, cradling the sapphire earrings he had meticulously saved for, into his pocket, accompanied by the card detailing the plans for the mountain cabin they had long envisioned together. Lorenzo greeted them with a bottle of champagne and led them to their cherished corner table. Clarissa appeared breathtaking in a dress that Wesley had never encountered before, her blonde hair elegantly arranged in a way that deviated from her typical practical nurse's bun. A subtle disquiet lingered in the air, woven into her fleeting kisses and the flicker of her gaze, yet Wesley chose to embrace gratitude over worry. He proposed a toast to 15 years, lifting his glass once their orders had been placed. Clarissa's smile was a mere facade, failing to illuminate her eyes as she gently clinked her glass against his. "Wesley, there's something I must share with you." His heart faltered at the sound of her voice, yet he held on to his reassuring smile. "What thoughts occupy your mind?" She placed her glass down gently, her eyes flickering to her phone momentarily before locking onto his gaze. "My feelings for you have changed. My former partner desires to rekindle our relationship." Time came to a standstill. "Your former partner? Damon from the time before our paths crossed? Who is the real estate developer?" "Indeed." Her nonchalant tone sent a chill racing down his spine. "I have engaged in conversation with him for some time now. He has transformed, now radiating success." Wesley's thoughts surged, striving to grasp the unfathomable. "Engaging in conversation with him? For what duration?" "A handful of months." Clarissa swirled her water, the diamond on her finger strikingly missing. "Most of my belongings are already packed away. Sophie will be assisting me with the move tomorrow while you're at work." Wesley caught the compassionate gaze of their waiter, Antonio, the son of Lorenzo, a familiar face from their past. The sting of humiliation seared through me, a flame ignited by the treachery that had unfolded. "I see," Wesley said, his voice remarkably steady, even as the tremors of anxiety quaked beneath his ribs. "What about our anniversary? Was it too much to ask to bring this up before I finalized the reservations?" Clarissa offered a slight shrug. "I thought a public setting might be more suitable, less theatrical." As the entrees were placed before him, Wesley found himself unable to savor the flavors, yet he continued to eat with a deliberate, almost mechanical precision. The voice of his mother resonated from the depths of his childhood. In moments of struggle, the essence of dignity becomes paramount. Eventually, he was adamant about covering the cost, even in the face of Clarissa's lukewarm suggestion to share the expense. Some principles endured, steadfast even as the very foundation beneath them disintegrated. As Wesley drove home in solitude, he navigated through the familiar landmarks of their shared existence, each one a poignant reminder, a fresh wound in the bleeding heart of his reality. The house lights illuminated brilliantly as he drove into the driveway. From the vantage of the front window, he observed dresser drawers left slightly ajar and closet doors standing open, hinting at a story waiting to unfold. The tangible proof rendered any form of denial utterly futile. As Wesley gathered his composure before stepping inside, Eleanor White, their neighbor of a decade, made her way over. The casserole dish released wisps of steam into the crisp evening air. She mentioned softly that she had seen Clarissa depart with her suitcases not long ago. "I thought this might come in handy for you tomorrow." Wesley took the dish, offering a courteous thank you, even as the weight of communal awareness loomed over him, overshadowing his own understanding. Within the confines of the house, an emptiness lingered in the air. Wesley traversed from room to room, meticulously noting the voids, her cherished novels, the heirloom clock passed down from her grandmother, the luxurious fragrance he had gifted her the previous Christmas. In their bedroom, her wedding ring rested on the bathroom counter, reminiscent of forgotten jewelry after a long day. The home office renovation now loomed as a testament to misguided devotion. As Wesley extinguished the lights, a glimmer on the desk drew his attention. There lay their wedding photo, Clarissa's face meticulously excised, leaving his smile aimed at nothingness. Slumber danced just out of reach for Wesley. At 3 a.m., he sat before the computer, his methodical mind as a project manager, striving to uncover patterns amidst the chaos. Their shared desktop still held Clarissa's email account, programmed to recall the password she had recently updated. Wesley paused, grappling with the breach of privacy, only to recall her nonchalant confession of months spent weaving a web of deceit. The retrieved, erased emails unfolded their narrative in a precise sequence. Dinner gatherings as Wesley toiled into the night, hotel bookings aligning with alleged girls' weekends. The fragments of her absence coalesced into a vivid portrait of treachery. The most heart-wrenching were the text exchanges from their marriage counseling sessions just 3 months prior. Clarissa had revealed Wesley's vulnerabilities, his candid acknowledgement of fears stemming from abandonment following his father's departure, and his heartfelt insecurities about being perceived as too predictable in his relationship with Damon. The therapist's office, once a sanctuary for healing, had transformed into a battleground for her escape plan. As the first light of dawn broke, Wesley meticulously recorded the credit card statements, revealing a series of inexplicable expenses. A recent Visa bill disclosed an intimate dinner for two at the Capitol Grill, marking their anniversary weekend from the previous year. Unbeknownst to him, while he toiled through a weekend emergency at the project site, convinced she was off visiting her sister in Colorado Springs, Clarissa had been in the company of Damon in Denver. As Wesley stood before the bathroom mirror, he found himself staring at a hollow-eyed stranger, a man he scarcely recognized as he readied himself for the day ahead. Routine offered a framework when feelings loomed large, threatening to unravel everything. He reached the office before dawn, channeling his energy into the impending deadline of the healthcare facility project, deliberately setting aside the turmoil brewing within. By mid-morning, Edward Clark, his mentor and senior project director, observed the distraction that had settled over him during the team meeting. "Let's grab coffee," Harold proposed afterward, the invitation unmistakably mandatory. The company cafe served as a tranquil backdrop as Harold, at 68, with his silver hair and piercing blue eyes, observed Wesley over steaming cups. Today, Harold noted, you seem to be burdened by something weighty. The polished veneer of Wesley's professionalism began to fracture. Clarissa is departing from my life, returning to her former flame from before our paths crossed. Harold's face betrayed no hint of astonishment. Adrian Blake, the alleged real estate developer? Wesley's gaze shot upward. Are you familiar with him? Not personally, Harold remarked, as he stirred his coffee with intention. However, my daughter had a brief relationship with him 3 years prior. There exists a discernible pattern, Wesley. He seeks out women with financial security, exploits their resources, and vanishes once they are left depleted. Wesley remarked that Clarissa was a nurse, and the realization began to settle in. Attractive compensation, outstanding creditworthiness, and wed to a thriving project manager, Harold remarked. An ideal target. I ought to caution her, Wesley began, but hesitated at the sight of Harold's face. She wouldn't believe you, Harold said softly. Ellen did not. It is essential to prioritize your own well-being, my son. Today, before shared accounts turn into barren ones. On that afternoon, Wesley reached out to Clarissa via text, seeking to arrange a meeting to discuss financial matters. In a coffee shop, perfectly situated between their offices, they converged neutral ground for the unfamiliar souls they had transformed into. Clarissa made her entrance a full 20 minutes behind schedule, her gaze flickering to her phone, time and again as Wesley maintained his composed demeanor, gently probing about bill payments and the intricacies of account divisions. You've always been so careful with money, she remarked with a hint of disdain when he inquired about the mortgage. In the midst of the budget tracker, Wesley held his composure with remarkable poise. Clarissa, I am striving to approach this with reason. It is essential for us to engage in a conversation about pragmatic concerns. Damon is now assisting me with my finances, she remarked, her gaze drifting to her meticulously manicured nails, a fresh twist in her narrative. He perceives investment opportunities that you have always approached with caution. Wesley studied her intently. In what ways are Damon's finances continuing to mend after his previous endeavor? Her instinctive response revealed all he needed to know. At the very least, he possesses the art of savoring life's moments. Not everything requires a meticulously crafted 5-year plan, Wesley. There are individuals who truly embrace the present moment. The dialogue concluded with her nonchalant demand for half of their savings to secure the condo deposit, while Wesley quietly came to the understanding that safeguarding his interests, rather than seeking to mend their relationship, had become his foremost concern. I will have my attorney reach out to you, he declared, standing up from the table. Legal counsel? Clarissa let out a melodious laugh, perpetually steeped in theatrics. As she departed without a single glance back, Wesley observed the stranger who bore his wife's visage, pondering how he had overlooked the metamorphosis, or if she had always been this individual, biding her time for the chance to reveal herself. Wesley had not intended to make an appearance at the company holiday gathering. 3 weeks after Clarissa's departure, his social energy continued to wane, drained by the relentless act of appearing fine to his concerned colleagues. Harold's unwavering determination ultimately won him over. Concealing oneself grants her dominion over your existence, my son. The festive atmosphere of the hotel ballroom clashed starkly with Wesley's inner turmoil. Colleagues extended quiet gestures of solidarity, with resolute handshakes, fleeting touches on the shoulder, and dialogues that skillfully skirted around personal topics. Wesley exhibited a commendable level of engagement, a talent refined over years of navigating client meetings amidst personal challenges. Then Clarissa entered, a vision in a striking red dress he had never encountered before, gracefully linked to Mike from accounting as her companion for the evening. Trailing behind them was a tall figure, his expertly styled gray hair and tailored suit exuding an air of success that felt hollow beneath the surface. Wesley identified Damon from vintage photographs, now evolved into the quintessential embodiment of refined midlife success. Wesley's bid for freedom faltered as Mike maneuvered straight toward him. Wesley, your project management on the medical center is commendable, and your innovative solution to the supply chain challenges is truly impressive. Before Wesley had a chance to reply, Damon reached out his hand, exuding an air of effortless charisma. Ah, so you are the renowned Wesley. Clarissa has shared all the details about you with me. The delicate accentuation of every detail validated Wesley's deepest apprehension regarding those counseling sessions. Damon, Wesley conceded, grasping the extended hand with a measured professionalism as Clarissa's gaze drifted to the appetizer table. Her interest peaked in an unexpected manner. "We ought to discuss investment strategies at some point," Damon continued, his confidence teetering on the edge of condescension. "I am aware of some remarkable avenues for planning your retirement. Clarissa noted that you are quite," he paused with intent, "prudent when it comes to finances." Wesley held his ground, his demeanor steady, despite catching wind of Damon's boisterous jest shared with a gathering that encompassed several of Wesley's peers. "It's akin to making the leap from economy to first class, wouldn't you agree? There are men who seem oblivious to the true needs of women." Clarissa's laughter, echoing the unmistakable reference to their marriage, pierced through Wesley's ribs like shards of broken glass. He withstood yet another 30 minutes before gracefully departing, steering his way home to a void that finally mirrored the desolation within. The carefully maintained composure of weeks crumbled the moment Wesley shut his door. 15 years unraveled in the span of just 3 weeks. The wedding album rested on the coffee table, its pages splayed open from the previous night, each photograph a testament to vows that now seemed fleeting. Wesley navigated the house with an unusual lack of care, extracting Clarissa's leftover belongings from drawers and closets and tossing them into boxes. In the spare room closet, he stumbled upon the void where his mother's china once resided, wedding gifts that had traversed generations, now seemingly subsumed by Clarissa's presumptuous entitlement. The revelation ignited a fury that eclipsed the pain. "This stops now," Wesley declared to the vacant house, his voice sounding foreign even to himself. As the night deepened, Wesley delved into the life of Adrian Blake, uncovering unsettling trends lurking beneath his charismatic facade. Business endeavors that had once sparked investor excitement now lay in ruins, and a string of relationships with accomplished women seemed to end in financial turmoil. While nothing overtly illegal surfaced, a distinct pattern of thriving at the expense of others' fortunes began to take shape. The following morning, Wesley reached out to Laura Bennett, an attorney suggested by Harold. Her office, both functional and polished, reflected her no-nonsense attitude as she absorbed Wesley's predicament. Upon hearing Damon's name, a slight change flickered across her face. Adrian Blake. Standing at approximately 6 feet, with distinguished gray at the temples, he asserts his expertise in developing boutique properties. Wesley nodded, taken aback. "Are you familiar with him?" "Not on a personal level," Sarah replied, her hand moving towards the file cabinet. "However, I've represented 3 women who were involved with him in the last 5 years." She set a folder down on the desk. Every instance was marked by intricate financial ties, leading to considerable erosion of assets. He navigates the terrain with a meticulous awareness of the legal limits. The acknowledgement of his worries offered little solace. "What should I do?" "Immediate financial separation," Sarah suggested. "Revise passwords, segregate accounts, catalog assets. I will initiate divorce proceedings, citing irreconcilable differences." This approach is far more straightforward than allegations of infidelity, which necessitate evidence and tend to complicate matters. As Wesley departed from her office, clutching a well-defined action plan, Sarah interjected, "Mr. Grant, ensure that every detail is recorded, particularly concerning family heirlooms. The division of property can become intricate when it involves items of sentimental value." Wesley nodded, his voice gaining a newfound determination. "I refuse to be a victim again." As he stepped into the executive conference room, he braced himself for news of layoffs. The healthcare division of the company had encountered budgetary limitations, and as a mid-level project manager, he had steeled himself for the eventuality. In a surprising turn, CEO Richard Harmon and Operations Director Patricia Kwan greeted him with an unexpected warmth. "Wesley, your management of the Memorial Hospital project, in spite of the supply chain challenges, truly impressed everyone," Richard commenced. "Especially your guidance when the structural challenges arose during the construction phase." Patricia nodded. "You upheld team unity amidst intense pressure while adhering to budget constraints. That's precisely the quality we seek in our senior project director role." Wesley absorbed their words with careful consideration. "Senior director, but Harold is retiring next month," Richard concluded. "He specifically recommended you as his successor. The role comes with a 30% salary increase, a bonus structure, and an expanded team. The triumph in the professional realm, juxtaposed with personal turmoil, gave rise to a profound cognitive dissonance. Wesley briefly imagined Clarissa's response to a piece of news she would never hear. Her departure had come just weeks before his rise to power. "I appreciate the confidence," Wesley remarked, his professional training prevailing over the chaos within. "I'd be honored to accept." The meeting wrapped up with firm handshakes and swift plans for transition. As Wesley made his way back to his office, his phone vibrated with a message from the attorney. "Divorce papers served. She has requested a meeting to negotiate." The contrast between his professional assent and personal unraveling felt profoundly ironic. That afternoon, Wesley sat down with Emily Wu, the financial planner suggested by Harold. Her methodical approach struck a chord with Wesley's project management perspective. "Considering your new role, we ought to reorganize your investments and retirement planning," Vanessa suggested, as she began to create distinct folders on her tablet. "The divorce proceedings will dictate the division of assets, yet we can enhance your standing from this moment onward." Following that, Ryan Mitchell, Eleanor White's son and a real estate agent with expertise in Denver's urban renewal neighborhoods, made his entrance. "Currently, the housing market is leaning towards sellers," Martin articulated. "You could potentially sell the house for a considerable profit and consider downsizing for a while." "I can't really envision holding on to the house," Wesley admitted. "There are just too many memories attached." Martin nodded in understanding. "An exceptional apartment building awaits in Lodo, a transformed warehouse space just a stroll away from your office, with several units ready for immediate occupancy." Wesley's third appointment of the week was with Dr. Collins, a therapist who specializes in navigating life transitions. Her pragmatic methods sidestep deep emotional digging, opting instead for effective coping mechanisms. "Consider recovery as a project plan," she proposed, acknowledging Wesley's professional perspective. "Emotional healing unfolds through discernible phases, yet these phases may not always progress in a straight line. Milestones and progress indicators can be established." Wesley found solace in this methodical approach. "I must navigate my professional responsibilities while also managing my personal feelings. Compartmentalization can serve as a beneficial short-term strategy," concurred Dr. Collins. "We should designate particular times for grief work and professional responsibilities." Wesley crafted a three-phase recovery strategy: financial safeguarding, emotional healing, and social restoration. He set clear timelines and defined objectives, employing project management techniques to facilitate personal rebuilding. The Lodo apartment, as Martin revealed, showcased sleek architectural lines and a sense of urban efficiency. While the building's contemporary security system and closeness to work presented practical benefits, its emotional neutrality and unadorned space provided a canvas for psychological healing. "The previous owner installed these built-ins," Martin noted, gesturing toward the custom bookshelves in the study area. "He held the esteemed position of professor at Denver University." "It's perfect," Wesley concluded, admiring the artistry devoid of any painful memories. As he affixed his signature to the rental agreement in the building manager's office, the elevator doors slid open to unveil a woman with dark, curly hair grappling with her grocery bags. She halted at the sight of Wesley, a spark of recognition igniting in her eyes. "Wesley?" she said, her voice wavering. "Marlene," Wesley said, taken aback by the unexpected presence of Clarissa's old friend from nursing school. "Is this your home?" "Fifth floor," she confirmed, her expression a tapestry of emotions. "For about 2 years now, I've heard about." "Well, I'm sorry." The uncomfortable silence lingered until Martin finished the paperwork. "All set, Mr. Grant. Move in, available next Tuesday." "You're moving here?" Marlene asked, her surprise unmistakable. Wesley nodded. "A fresh start. I'll be on the 3rd floor. Welcome to the building," she said, her smile warm and inviting as she moved toward the elevator. "The rooftop garden is breathtaking at sunset." As Wesley observed, the elevator doors slide shut. A flicker of curiosity ignited within him, a small glimmer of interest in what lay ahead, shifting his focus from the disintegration of his marriage to the possibilities of the future. 3 weeks into his new role, Wesley had woven a tapestry of routines that carried him through the tumult of the divorce proceedings. Morning runs by the river precede the workday, filled with productivity as he leads his growing team. Evenings are a blend of therapy sessions, organizing his apartment, and the occasional dinner with Harold, as the once empty space evolves into a personal sanctuary. As Wesley meticulously examined the project timelines, a gentle knock interrupted his focus, heralding the arrival of his assistant. Amelia Miller is here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment. The unanticipated arrival surged adrenaline through Wesley's veins, yet he upheld his composed facade. Please show her in. Clarissa stepped inside, appearing less refined than she had at the holiday gathering. Her designer purse stood in stark contrast to her somewhat worn attire. Wesley, it seems you've been neglecting my calls. All communication should go through our attorneys, Wesley reminded her. His posture relaxed as she settled into the chair across from his desk. I didn't realize you'd been promoted, she remarked, her gaze sweeping over the corner office that offered a panoramic view of downtown Denver. Congratulations. Thank you, Wesley responded with a quiet sincerity. What brings you here, Clarissa? Her confident facade wavered just a touch. There have been some unforeseen expenses with the condo. The mortgage approval process is stretching out longer than anticipated, and Damon's investment partners are lagging behind with their funding round. Wesley remained patient, compelling her to express her intentions clearly. I must access our savings account, she finally declared, just for a short while, until circumstances settle down. After 15 years of companionship, it is only natural to seek your support during this transition. Wesley fixed his gaze upon her with unwavering intensity. The savings account is a crucial element in the divorce negotiations. My attorney has suggested a just distribution of assets, but I require it immediately, Clarissa pressed, leaning in closer. After everything we've endured. Indeed, Wesley interjected softly. After everything we've endured. Her demeanor transformed from coaxing to exasperated. You're acting out of spite. I'm acting out of concern, Wesley clarified. The accounts are divided while we await the divorce settlement as per legal advice. I will not engage in further discussion outside of that process. Clarissa rose to her feet with sudden intensity. You've changed. Yes, Wesley replied with a quiet acceptance. I have. Wesley remained outwardly composed, yet her departure left him profoundly shaken. 15 minutes spent on breathing exercises, guided by Dr. Collins, brought him back to a state of balance before his upcoming meeting. That evening, he brought up the encounter in his therapy session. You upheld your boundaries even in the face of emotional pressure, Dr. Collins noted. That's significant progress. Yet, the week that followed ushered in a wave of escalation. Sophie, Clarissa's sister, reached out with a straightforwardness that contrasted sharply with Clarissa's more cunning tactics. Wesley, she requires access to funds, Sophie urged. She is currently residing with us due to some complications regarding the condo. Damon has been embarking on business trips, yet the outcomes have not aligned with expectations. I'm truly sorry to hear that, Wesley responded with genuine concern. However, our financial affairs are being addressed within the divorce proceedings. You're inflicting punishment upon her, Sophie charged. I am honoring the legal process, Wesley clarified. Choices have consequences, Sophie, for everyone involved. Following Sophie's call, an anonymous package arrived her mother's china, or rather, 4-place settings of it. The note that accompanied it was succinct. Damon sold the rest. Apologies, M. The disclosure that family heirlooms had been liquidated for immediate funds sharpened Wesley's perception of the circumstances. That night, he discovered through mutual acquaintances that Clarissa had been spreading the notion that he was financially spiteful throughout their separation. We know that's not who you are, Jennifer from their former neighborhood association reassured him. Anyone who's known you for 5 minutes knows better. The next day, Wesley stumbled upon unauthorized charges on their last joint credit card expenses at unfamiliar restaurants and hotels, all dated after their separation. This ultimate violation of trust drove Wesley to reach out to Laura Bennett, setting in motion the process of complete financial separation. This is the right move, Sarah affirmed. Document everything for the settlement negotiations. That weekend, in search of constructive engagement, Wesley decided to volunteer for the community garden revitalization project he had noticed in the elevator of his building. The rooftop area required clearing before winter to ready it for spring planting. The physical work provided a therapeutic escape from his emotional turmoil. Wesley, a voice he recognized, called out as he filled a composting bin with debris. I didn't expect to see you here. Natalie Hayes stood before him, clad in gardening gloves and a cap from the Denver Botanic Gardens, her curly hair secured in a practical ponytail. My therapist suggested I engage in physical activity with tangible results, Wesley confessed, discovering that honesty flowed more freely with someone who was not deeply entwined in his current circumstances. They collaborated effortlessly, their dialogue meandering through safe subjects until they paused for a refreshing drink at the rooftop's edge, gazing out over the sprawling city below. "I must share something with you," Marlene said, her demeanor grave. "I cautioned Clarissa about Damon months ago. His name struck a chord with me the moment she brought him up. He had a brief romance with my cousin, ultimately leaving her burdened with considerable debt." The astonishment on Wesley's face must have been unmistakable. "She didn't believe me," Marlene continued, claiming I was envious of their bond. "That is the reason we ceased our conversations." "I appreciate you sharing that with me," Wesley remarked, absorbing this fresh revelation. Marlene's face reflected a deep and sincere worry. "He approaches this methodically, Wesley. You're not the first partner caught off guard." I only wish she had paid attention. The dialogue veered toward the garden planning committee, yet Wesley sensed a delicate shift. The first genuine bond with someone who grasped his predicament without condescension or sympathy. The opening of the community garden in early spring marked a significant moment, aligning perfectly with the final phase of Wesley's divorce proceedings. Over the past 6 months, a methodical process of rebuilding had not only revitalized the rooftop space but also reshaped Wesley's life. His commitment to regular running had fortified his body, while therapy had fortified his mind. The leadership role at work became a beacon of purpose amidst the collapse of personal foundations. The garden dedication ceremony showcased Wesley and Marlene, both esteemed members of the planning committee, as they received accolades from the building association. Their friendship blossomed organically, nurtured by collaborative projects and shared dinners that evolved from discussions of books and films to deeper, more personal exchanges. Her candid demeanor and appreciation for measured timing provided a welcome relief amidst the unraveling of his marriage. Following the ceremony, Harold stepped forward, bearing tidings that rippled through Denver's professional landscape. "I have something you ought to hear," he said in a hushed tone. Adrian Blake vanished 3 days prior, draining his accounts and slipping away into the unknown. It seemed he had been leveraging Clarissa's nursing salary and credit to support a series of unsuccessful enterprises. Wesley took in this information, his heart a tumult of conflicting feelings, a sense of vindication devoid of any joy. "Is Clarissa all right?" "From what I hear, she's financially devastated," Harold replied. "She is currently residing with her sister. The condo deal fell apart months back. It was never actually purchased." Later that evening, as volunteers reveled in the garden's opening with a rooftop dinner, Wesley found himself beside Marlene at the building's edge, the city lights sprawling beneath them. "I knew about Damon," Marlene confessed softly. "It's widely discussed throughout the nursing community. Clarissa had exhausted her credit, taken loans against her 401k, and even parted with cherished family belongings in a desperate bid to alleviate his fleeting cash flow woes." Wesley let out a heavy sigh, his gaze fixed on the mountains etched against the fading light of the sunset. "I had a feeling something like this was unfolding." "I tried to caution her," Marlene replied, a note of regret lacing her words. "Months before she left you, she accused me of trying to undermine her happiness." As darkness enveloped them, their conversation deepened, shifting from Clarissa to the intricate tapestry of their own histories and viewpoints. Wesley discovered a genuine laugh escaping him as Marlene shared her dry observations on the politics of hospital administration, marking the first real joy he'd felt in months. "This is nice," he remarked, surprising himself with the honesty of his words. Marlene's smile conveyed a depth of understanding that transcended mere words. "Yes, it island." 3 days later, Sophie arrived at Wesley's office without warning. Her demeanor was devoid of the tension that had marked their earlier encounters. "I need to return these," she stated, setting a small box on his desk that held his mother's silver napkin rings and his grandfather's pocket watch. "I discovered them when Clarissa became a part of our household." "Thank you," Wesley replied, his voice wavering as he struggled to maintain his composure in the presence of these familial ties. Sophie's unease was palpable. "I owe you an apology, Wesley. I had championed her connection with Damon, convinced her that she was worthy of a life filled with more thrill than she had known. Yet," she paused. "Then, a project manager who was all too predictable?" Wesley concluded with a touch of dry wit. I was wrong, Sophie conceded. Utterly wrong. She's lost it all. Wesley, her savings, her credit, even her professional standing. She borrowed money from colleagues that she can't repay. Wesley kept a neutral expression, despite the weight of the situation. I'm sorry to hear that, Sophie said, her words coming out with a hint of hesitation. She requested that I inquire on her behalf. She inquires about the possibility of returning home, expressing confidence that you will comprehend her desire. In that instant, everything became clear. Clarissa held the belief that a sense of stability would invariably greet her upon her return, convinced that his steadfastness rendered him predictable and consequently susceptible to her influence. Sophie, Wesley said gently yet resolutely, please convey to Clarissa my best wishes, but there is no home awaiting her. The divorce will be finalized next month, and I have moved on with my life. She mentioned that you would always welcome her back, Sophie confessed, that you were reliably that way. Wesley smiled, devoid of any bitterness. People evolve. Sophie's final plea for financial assistance met with the same empathetic yet resolute denial. As she departed, Wesley sensed the culmination of a journey boundary, transgression, acknowledgement, safeguarding, and the steadfast creation of a new truth. 2 days later, the moment of truth arrived. Clarissa proposed a meeting at the coffee shop where they had shared their first difficult conversation after the separation. Wesley accepted, understanding that true closure demanded an honest exchange. Clarissa's appearance narrated a tale of its own, with designer clothes now draped awkwardly, a physical sign of crumbling exteriors. The dark circles under her eyes revealed a depth of stress that no makeup could mask. Thank you for meeting me, she began, her tone laced with an unusual humility. I've been attempting to reach you. Our attorneys manage all communication now, Wesley reminded her softly. Clarissa's facade began to falter. I find myself grappling with a grave error, Wesley. Damon was not the person he claimed to be. He has vanished, leaving nothing behind. I long to return to a place I once knew. Wesley experienced a surge of compassion, yet it bore no weight of obligation. But there is no home awaiting your return, Clarissa. Having sold the house, I move forward with my life. We can start over, she insisted, desperation creeping into her voice. 15 years can't just disappear. They didn't vanish, Wesley gently clarified. They concluded with a decision. Your decision. Tears welled in her eyes. Uncertainty clouded my thoughts as I faced the unexpected outcome. I believe you, Wesley declared with earnestness, yet that acknowledgement did little to alter our current predicament. Her eyes narrowed, a flicker of insight igniting within them. Is there someone else? Whispers of you and Marlene have reached my ears. Wesley kept his secrets close. My personal life is no longer your business, just as yours has ceased to be mine. I wish you healing, Clarissa, just as I discovered my own. Yet, our journeys took different turns the instant you chose to invest your loyalty in another. That farewell carried a sense of closure, devoid of malice. As Wesley exited the coffee shop, he caught sight of Marlene standing across the street, just as they had planned. Her unwavering support, offered without encroachment, embodied the respect that had begun to shape their connection. When she grasped his hand, the act felt both instinctive and fresh, signaling the dawn of something rooted in shared desire rather than duty or past ties. As summer enveloped Denver, the city's scenery shifted, mirroring the new rhythms emerging in Wesley's life. The rooftop garden thrived, nurtured by the community's collective effort, much like his unforeseen bond with Marlene. Their relationship blossomed gradually, with dinner conversations evolving into profound dialogues, weekend hikes through the foothills, and tranquil evenings spent exchanging professional dilemmas and personal beliefs. One evening, while arranging planters on Wesley's balcony, Eleanor White stopped by with housewarming cookies, having kept in touch despite his relocation. You two work well together, she remarked, noting their effortless coordination. Some people just fit, don't they? Her words hung in the air long after she left. Wesley recognized that the comfort he shared with Marlene stood in stark contrast to the strained performance of his marriage in recent years. Her straightforward manner of communication removed the uncertainty that had long plagued his connection with Clarissa. When the final divorce papers came, Wesley experienced an unexpected sense of relief instead of sorrow. The document signified not merely a conclusion, but the liberation to construct anew upon more solid ground. How do you feel about it? Marlene inquired that evening as they busied themselves in his kitchen, her presence now a reassuring fixture. Whole, Wesley replied after a moment of thought. As if sealing the final chapter of a well-worn novel, Marlene nodded, grasping the unspoken truth that lingered between them, a testament to their bond. The next week, Wesley and Harold gathered for their customary monthly lunch, a ritual that had transformed from mere mentorship into a genuine friendship following Harold's retirement. "You look good, son," Harold remarked, his eyes reflecting warmth and pride. "Improved since the onset of this ordeal," Wesley nodded, recognizing the path traveled. "I never anticipated feeling thankful for what once appeared to be a disaster. In moments of loss, what once seemed essential often uncovers the true essence of what one is meant to have," Harold reflected, his insights shaped by the trials of his own journey. "Clarissa's decisions were never a reflection of your value. This realization has dawned on me," Wesley concurred. The betrayal unveiled fissures that had long existed, merely concealed by the monotony of daily life. Harold's gaze shifted to one of understanding. As for Marlene, what was unfolding in that realm? Wesley found it impossible to hide his grin. "We're proceeding with caution, yet undeniably, it feels distinct, shaped by our present selves rather than the people we were at the beginning. A wise strategy, as Harold would say. Do you have something to reveal?" Wesley pulled a small velvet box from his pocket, unveiling an exquisite emerald ring within. "This belonged to my grandmother. My mother entrusted it to me for the right individual at the right moment. I believe I have discovered both." Their dialogue meandered towards Harold's impending retirement adventures, yet Wesley's thoughts intermittently drifted back to the ring and its deeper meanings, a renewed opportunity grounded in experience rather than the naivety of youth. That weekend, the community garden came alive with its inaugural harvest celebration. Wesley and Marlene made their entrance early, eager to assist with the preparations, collaborating with neighbors who had transformed into friends through months of collective nurturing. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over Denver's skyline, Wesley guided Marlene to the garden's eastern corner, where fragrant herbs evoked memories of her childhood in New Mexico. "I have something to ask you," he started, a wave of nervousness washing over him despite their deep bond. Marlene's face softened, a flicker of understanding illuminating her features as she sensed the weight of the moment. "I'm listening?" Wesley took her hand, the rehearsed words slipping away, replaced by raw honesty. "You've revealed to me the essence of partnership, supporting one another without losing oneself, communicating openly without deceit, caring genuinely without tallying favors. I cherish who I become in your presence and who you are alongside me." As he knelt and opened the ring box, Marlene's eyes widened with emotion. "Wesley?" she gasped. He nodded, aware of the brevity of their time together. "I know it hasn't been that long, but at our age, when you know, you know." With a heart full of hope, he asked, "Natalie Hayes, will you marry me?" Her joyful acceptance was met with applause from the garden committee members who had gathered nearby, their presence a testament to the love blossoming in that moment. The celebration blossomed unexpectedly into an impromptu engagement party as neighbors unveiled the refreshments meant for the harvest festival. From the edge of the roof, Wesley caught sight of a familiar figure lingering on the street. Clarissa stood on the sidewalk below, taking in the festivities. Their gazes locked for a fleeting moment across the expanse, a silent exchange that spoke volumes. As the night wore on and the festivities dwindled, Wesley and Marlene found themselves at the garden's periphery, the twinkling city lights below resembling a constellation of earthly stars. "Are you okay?" Marlene inquired gently, her attention drawn to the earlier interaction with Clarissa. Wesley pondered the question with sincerity. Indeed, encountering her was unlike what he had anticipated. There was no trace of anger, only an acknowledgement of the journey that had unfolded between them. "Closure," Marlene suggested, her shoulder brushing against his. "More like confirmation," Wesley replied thoughtfully. "Confirmation that our paths diverge for reasons we may not grasp until much later." The subsequent week heralded the triumphant conclusion of the medical center project for Wesley's team, culminating in a ribbon-cutting ceremony that showcased his leadership to the public. Observing the pride radiating from his team members, Wesley pondered the parallel growth of his professional confidence and personal recovery. "Your team respects you," Harold remarked, joining Wesley as a guest at the event. "That's earned, not given." Wesley acknowledged the invaluable lessons learned from the best, his heart full of gratitude for the mentorship that had guided him through his darkest days. As the evening unfolded, Wesley and Marlene set about planning their wedding, envisioning a simple ceremony that would embody their shared values rather than conform to societal expectations. In stark contrast to the grand wedding he had shared with Clarissa, this upcoming celebration would embrace sincerity over spectacle. A modest ceremony, attended only by those who truly mattered, was Marlene's practical suggestion. Perhaps in the garden, when the roses unfurl their petals next spring. Wesley found this idea perfect, grateful for her resonance with his own desires. As they prepared the wedding invitations the next weekend, Wesley thoughtfully included one for Sophie and her husband, inscribing "guest" on the envelope, a gesture that left a door ajar, inviting yet unassuming. "Are you sure?" Marlene inquired, grasping the underlying meaning. Wesley simply nodded. Healing unfolds in myriad forms. Some doors shut for good, while others linger ajar, redefined by new limits. On that Sunday, they made their way to the mountain property Wesley had acquired, where the dream Clarissa had once forsaken, now transformed into the future he and Marlene would construct together. As they traversed the terrain alongside the contractor, a dialogue unfolded about the vision for a humble cabin, one that would pay homage to the surrounding beauty rather than overshadow it. "This view is extraordinary." Marlene exhaled, her eyes sweeping over the valley where the mountains embraced the skyline like guardians. "It'll be even better from the west-facing deck," the contractor remarked, examining the initial sketches with a discerning eye. "Every sunset will be yours to behold." As the contractor paced along the property line, Wesley and Marlene stood side by side on the rugged outcropping that would serve as their foundation. "What's on your mind?" she inquired, observing the thoughtful look on his face. Wesley pondered resilience, contemplating how we reconstruct after a fall, often crafting something more robust than what existed prior. The autumn breeze wafted the fragrance of pine and potential as they deliberated on the tangible elements of the building journey. Timeline, materials, budget, their joint effort in these choices mirrored the bond they had forged, with each voice adding to the conversation without overshadowing the others. That evening, in the heart of Denver, an unexpected visitor arrived at Wesley's apartment building. It was Dr. Reynolds, the husband of Eleanor White and a distinguished cardiologist at Denver General. "Clarissa asked me to give you this," he said, extending an envelope to Wesley. "Last month, she made her way to our cardiac unit, deeming it important yet not urgent." Within the envelope, Wesley discovered a straightforward note paired with his mother's wedding band, a piece that had vanished along with other cherished family belongings during Clarissa's exit. "This belongs with your family's history, not mine. Amidst the items Damon had gathered for sale, I stumbled upon it. I regret all that has transpired, wishing you happiness. C." The return of this final family connection completed a circle. Wesley tucked the ring into his desk drawer, nestled beside his grandfather's pocket watch and his mother's napkin rings. Artifacts of continuity destined to be passed down through generations. Later that week, Wesley received word that the divorce was officially finalized. The moment felt serendipitous as autumn draped Denver in its vibrant hues, leaves surrendering to the earth to nurture future blooms. That evening, while he and Marlene nestled fall bulbs into their balcony planters, Wesley discovered a surprising absence of sorrow at the season's close, replaced instead by a profound gratitude for the insight it brought. "Spring flowers require winter's slumber," Marlene mused, gently covering the dormant bulbs with rich soil. "Some beauty demands a period of darkness before it can truly flourish." Her insight reached far beyond the realm of plants. As twilight enveloped the city, Wesley stood on the balcony, his arms encircling her shoulders, a wave of gratitude washing over him for this unforeseen second chance. "I never imagined I would experience this feeling once more," he confessed softly. "Not merely joyful, but serene, whole." Marlene shifted in his arms, her face mirroring his own sense of fulfillment. "The strongest structures are constructed gradually, each brick laid with intention and care. With the chill of winter drawing near, they meticulously crafted their wedding plans for the upcoming spring ceremony. They decided to unite their lives within the cozy confines of Marlene's slightly more spacious apartment, awaiting the completion of their mountain cabin. The practical intertwining of their existence, furniture, books, and daily routines unfolded with a graceful ease. Every compromise was achieved through thoughtful and respectful dialogue. "It shouldn't be this easy," Wesley remarked one evening as they arranged their combined book collection. "It isn't easy," Marlene corrected with her characteristic directness. "It's intentional. Each day, we actively make this choice, rather than merely succumbing to routine." Her perspective illuminated the distinction between their relationship and his marriage, highlighting the intentional decision made daily as opposed to the inertia of the past. Surrounded by half-unpacked boxes in their shared space, Wesley grasped the significant contrast between a relationship founded on habit and one forged through conscious choice. "I choose this," he said simply, his declaration serving as both acknowledgement and promise. Marlene's smile mirrored her understanding of the deeper meaning woven into his words. "So do I, every day. The caliber of our decisions shapes the essence of our existence, a reality that sharpens in focus as time unfolds." Standing alongside Marlene on the mountain property, destined to be our sanctuary, I can distinctly map the journey from ruin to rebirth. What once seemed like a calamitous loss, a 15-year marriage unraveling between courses, has transformed into the arduous yet vital separation of what had ceased to benefit us both. Clarissa's choice to depart compelled me to reconstruct a life I might have otherwise clung to for the sake of comfort rather than true satisfaction. In that process of reconstruction, I unearthed strengths I had long overlooked. There is profound insight in discerning between those who cherish us and those who simply appreciate what we offer. The difference often eludes us until situations peel back the layers of facade. In that stark revelation, we uncover who persists when the act of remaining grows challenging. The community that surrounded me, Harold's wise mentorship, Sarah's insightful guidance, and Eleanor White's gentle support, illuminated the genuine bonds I had formed, often without awareness of their profoundness. Perhaps you too have faced similar betrayals, instances when the solid ground you trusted unveiled its cracks. If so, you grasp the sense of disorientation, the sting of humiliation, the deep questioning of your own judgment. You might sense the allure of bitterness or vindictiveness, the urge to repay pain with pain in a misguided effort at emotional balance. Yet dignity offers a far more secure refuge than revenge. The most profound reaction to betrayal lies not in retaliation, but in the act of reconstructing a life so exquisite that its absence serves as its own punishment. This does not imply dismissing pain or pretending that the injury never happened. Rather, it signifies a steadfast refusal to allow that injury to shape your future or dictate your value. When Clarissa departed, she may have taken with her 15 years of shared history, yet she could not strip away my potential for growth, my professional skills, or my ability to forge new relationships. These were mine to cultivate and fortify. The promotion I earned, the friendships that grew deeper, the unforeseen bond with Marlene, none of these were mere rewards for hardship, but rather the organic outcomes of seeds sown long ago, now granted the opportunity to thrive. Clarissa embarks on her own challenging path toward wiser decisions. I wish her healing, free from the burden of obligation to deliver it. Our journeys have irrevocably parted due to our shared decisions, hers to depart, mine to advance rather than retreat. Grasping this difference has freed me from the chains of resentment and the illusions of false hope. Marlene and I envision a plan that embodies not merely a physical refuge, but a profound transformation, a framework constructed upon sturdier pillars than those of my past existence. Its architecture mirrors the wisdom gained through trials endured. Clarity, where once there was only shadow. Transparent dialogue replaces the shadows of assumption. Shared encouragement fills the gaps of imbalance. Occasionally, what we view as conclusions transform into surprising new beginnings. The meticulous unraveling of the past paves the way for future possibilities. Within that realm, through patience and insight, we can forge bonds rooted in mutual respect instead of mere convenience or tradition. Embracing loyalty as a steadfast commitment rather than a transactional exchange, the fundamental lesson I have gleaned from this journey is that, although we cannot dictate the choices of others, we hold complete dominion over how we respond to those choices. Within that response resides our strength, our integrity, and, in the end, our tranquility. I opt to create rather than to dismantle, to cultivate rather than to shrink, to advance rather than to stay bound to what has been lost. This decision alters everything.